Hello, I'm Amy Friend, and my partner Sarah Lewis and I will be presenting on the assessment The Experiences in Close Relationships Revised Questionnaire, otherwise known as the ECR R. Attachment theory was developed in the 1960s and 70s and was primarily concerned about the relationships between infants or children and their primary caregivers. John Bowlby believed that attachment characterized human experience from the cradle to the grave. During the 1980s, attachment theory research was extended to the relationships among adults, and the ensuing consonant research has been termed by Simpson and Rules as the most important achievement in psychological sciences. This is not surprising considering by God's design we were created for connection. In our presentation, we will briefly look at the creation and implementation of the ECR R, its validity and reliability, the appropriate populations to use with this instrument, the strengths and weaknesses of the test, how it aligns with theories of personalities, and we will conclude with sharing what we personally learned in our research on this assessment. It's because of our interest in attachment that we chose it. The ECR is a 36-item self-report measuring adult romantic attachment style. It was developed by Fraley, Waller, and Brenham in 2000. Due to the growing interest in adult attachment research, Fraley and all developed the ECR R in order to foster consensus regarding the best method for measuring self-reported adult romantic attachment. The questions on the ECR R were selected using techniques based on item response theory, but they were selected from the same item pool as those from an earlier assessment, the ECR R, hence revised, being included in the new assessment name. The ECR R measures individuals on two subscales of attachment, avoidance and anxiety. In the 36-item scale, there are 18 questions measuring each dimension. The anxiety dimension measures the extent to which people are insecure versus secure about the availability and responsiveness of romantic partners, or fear of rejection and abandonment, whereas the avoidant dimension measures the extent to which people are uncomfortable being close to others versus secure depending on others, preferring independence. One clinician estimated it takes approximately 10 minutes for a client to answer the 36 items, and with an online score chart Fraley has made available, only 2 to 3 minutes to calculate average scores for the two dimensions. The ECR R is one of the most commonly used instruments to measure adult attachment. The scale used in the assessment provides a series of item discrimination values with a more even distribution between anxiety and avoidant traits than previous measures of adult attachment, such as the ECR and the AAQ, the Adult Attachment Questionnaire. Sibley, Fisher, and Liu looked at 3 studies assessing the reliability of the ECR R, and they found that the assessment provided substantially more precise estimates of latent attachment across the entire trait range. The commonly used estimate of internal consistency reliability tends to be 0.90 or higher for the 2 ECR R scales. The assessment also has a significantly more stable test-retest estimate than previous measures. Subsequent research support Fraley and al.'s initial work, and it suggests that the ECR R also displays adequate psychometric properties. Sibley and al. State that the ECR R provides one of the most appropriate self-report measures of adult romantic attachment currently available. In addressing appropriate populations, as I've discussed, the ECR R was created to measure romantic adult attachment. However, it does use the neutral language partner, so it does not have a bias concerning sexual preference. The appraisal can be modified for other relationships and has been done so. However, there's been an additional assessment created, the ECR RS, and it was developed specifically to measure other adult attachments. We will briefly address this later in our presentation. In our research, it was impressive to learn how this assessment has been translated into so many different languages: French, Japanese, Brazilian, and Iranian, just to name a few, so clearly a very diverse context. It's been validated in many cultural contexts, and the studies have confirmed the 2-factor structure of the questionnaire. Sarah is now going to discuss the strengths and weaknesses of the test and how it aligns with theories of personality.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm going to talk about the strengths and the weaknesses of the ECR R. A couple of the strengths of the ECR R are, first, its specific content. The ECR measures attachment within romantic and intimate relationships. Global measures of attachment are criticized because they are referentially ambiguous. This is not the case with the ECR, as it measures specifically attachment within those romantic and intimate relationships. Another strength of the ECR is its strong reliability and validity, as Amy has already spoken about. A couple of the weaknesses of the ECR include, one, its length. It's relatively long assessment. It has 18 items that measure avoidance within relationships and 18 items that measure anxiety within relationships. There is another 12-item assessment that shows promise with strong validity and reliability. Another weakness of the ECR is its specific context. Yes, this is a strength, and it is also a weakness of the ECR. Some would argue that the context of it is too narrow and it's not referentially ambiguous enough. The ECR-RS is a derivation of the ECR that measures attachment across 4 different relationships: mother, father, romantic, and friendship. The ECR does not allow for within-person variation to be assessed across these different relationship contexts. For example, if a person has a history of being rejected by parents, but is currently in a strong romantic relationship, they may have 2 different working models of these relationships. So they may have a secure relationship with the romantic partner and an insecure attachment with respect to the parents. The ECR will not capture this variation. Personality is defined as the characteristic patterns of behaving, thinking, and feeling. There are 4 primary theories of personality, including first the psychoanalytic theories, which emphasize childhood experiences and the unconscious mind. Humanistic theories focus on psychological growth, free will, and personal awareness, whereas social cognitive theories emphasize observational learning, self-efficacy, and situational influences. Finally, trait theories focus on identifying, describing, and measuring personality traits. In attachment theory, people construct mental representations of their self and significant others based on their interpersonal experiences. These representations impact how people interpret and understand their world, especially their social worlds. Attachment theory and the ECR align with the psychoanalytic theory of personality. Attachment style can be shaped by early childhood experiences. A person's attachment style as an adult is a reflection of their history, including their earliest attachment relationships. Research shows that attachment styles are relatively stable over the first 19 years of life, but are also influenced by later experiences. The ECR also aligns well with trait theories of personality, like the 5-factor model or the Big Five. The Big Five defines personality in the context of openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. One study concludes that the measures of the Big Five provide clues about 2 major forms of attachment insecurity, both anxiety and avoidance. Attachment anxiety and avoidance both correlate with neuroticism. However, measurements of attachment like the ECR are better indicators of relationship quality and satisfaction than measurements of personality traits. That said, the Big Five traits and facets may help explain some of the nuances of attachment insecurities. Attachment theory began with John Bowlby's research on infant and parent attachment. His work would later influence Hazen, Shaver, Johnson, Fraley, and others who would look at adult attachment across various contexts. There are many questions left to answer, but research shows a connection between historical attachment and current attachment. The ECR assesses attachment within the narrow context of intimate or romantic relationships. The assessment is highly reliable and valid, but it does not account for attachment styles in other relationships. Reading the literature and learning about the ECR has strengthened our understanding and our interest in attachment theory and the implications it has on our future work. Considering we are created in God's image as relational beings, emotional connection has widespread implication in our lives. Attachment theory gives us the opportunity as counselors to explore the importance of a meaningful connection for our clients.
These are the references we used in our research, and this concludes our presentation. Thank you.